You get a video and you get a video. Everybody gets a video. Hey guys, my name is Kaitlin Moose, and everybody knows that line from the legendary Oprah Winfrey. There were times when every audience member in the Oprah Winfrey Show would get a new car or a trip to Australia, but that was about all I knew about this media mogul. I'd never seen an episode of the show, so only knowing that the name Oprah was a big deal. So in order to learn some more about her, I picked up a copy of her book, What I Know for Sure. And I told myself to only mark the important things, and as you can see, it looks like I went a little overboard with the marking the important things, but that's how many important things there were. Let me see if I can share a few. She has been and is many things. She was a TV show host. The Oprah Winfrey Show was the highest rated show on television for 25 years. She now owns her own network, that's the Oprah Winfrey Network. She's also an actress. She started out on The Color Purple, and with that very first role landed an Academy Award nomination. And I've linked the video below, but you have to check it out. There's a speech she gave, and she talks about how she landed the role on The Color Purple after she'd read the book and became obsessed with the idea of being part of the movie. She prayed and prayed. She just wanted to be a part of the movie on set, not have a role, just go get people coffee, anything so that she could be near it. And actually, she was asked to come in and read for an audition when she was seen on TV. At that time, she was hosting AM Chicago, and they said, please come in and audition for this part. And please watch the video because the story goes on from there and has many twists and turns, but it is hilarious and heartwarming and inspiring, as most everything that Oprah says is. And eventually she got that call from Spielberg. Since then, she has acted in and produced other films such as Beloved. She's written countless articles, has her own magazine, her own 24-hour radio show. It's like, oh my goodness, Oprah. It is like she has done everything. She is a self-made multi-billionaire who also has a very generous spirit. She donates millions to charity, and that puts her on top philanthropists lists consistently, along with most influential people in the world. Those kinds of lists she appears on all the time. And you may already know she is basically the epitome of a rags to riches story. She was born in rural Mississippi into complete poverty, the kind of poverty where you don't have running water, and she wore dresses made of potato sacks that her grandmother had sewn for her, and the children made fun of her at school. She was also a victim of sexual assault, and from the ages of 10 to 14, she was molested, and has stated very plainly herself that that resulted in her promiscuity, and she became pregnant at age 14. She said she was so ashamed that she hid that pregnancy from everyone, especially after her baby boy, her son, died in the hospital a few weeks after she gave birth. And she carried this secret with her for years, for most of her life. She was afraid that if anyone found out, they wouldn't love her anymore. She would be judged, and kind of conditioning herself all these years to be a people pleaser, she just couldn't let anybody know about her past for fear that they might not accept her anymore. Then a family member of hers actually leaked the story to the tabloids, I believe in 1990, and she was just devastated. She felt betrayed and didn't think that she was going to survive it, especially in the public eye. But as it says in the book, she went to work on that Monday. No one treated her any differently. And for decades, I had been expecting a reaction that never came. And that passage just struck me as, how much to learn from that she kept that burden herself all those years. So before she graduated from high school, she was already working in radio, then she moved to television, and quite possibly her best known achievement so far was that she had her own nationally syndicated television program, The Oprah Winfrey Show. And it's so funny, she talks about how she didn't want to overstay her welcome. She never thought it would last that long. She didn't want to be that person at the party that won't leave. She finally decided that she was definitely going to retire the show after 20 years, and a little boy wrote to her. He had been a guest on the show. At age 12, he came to read some of his poetry because he was suffering from a rare form of muscular dystrophy. And he said in the letter, please consider not retiring your show until after 25 years, because 25 is this perfect number. It'll mean this huge accomplishment. It's a quarter of a century. And he says he just had this feeling and he saw these colors when he thought of that number. And she says it touched her so much, and she decided to listen to it. And so they kept the show going for 25 years. And no regrets after that. She packed it up and was ready to move on to the next thing. And she still says the best is yet to come. She knows that was incredible, but she just has this higher purpose and she's constantly striving to reach her full potential. So next she started her own network and she faced a lot of challenges and a lot of criticism. She says that was the most public failure, especially after coming off of such a high with the Oprah Winfrey Show, and that success to be struggling with starting her own network was such a big public failure. And the media just bashed her. She said she never heard that kind of criticism before, that kind of negativity, and she bought into it. With the help of her closest friends, she really had to work to turn the narrative around for herself so that she could succeed, because she bought into what all these people were saying about how she wasn't worth it and she should really hurtful things like go back to Africa and that kind of nonsense that we see all the time celebrities encounter just because of the immediacy of the news and social media and these kinds of things. But now her network is doing well and she's so excited for what the future holds. Her book is full of so many nuggets of wisdom, as seen by my post-it notes. So I would highly recommend it, but she says that her reason for being is to help others achieve their fullest potential, and herself. She constantly wants to be filling up herself. She tells this great story. So many people say that you need to think of others and, how selfish are you if you think of yourself first? And she says, no, you need to put yourself first, because even when people say you're full of yourself, she's like, I certainly hope so, thank you, because when I fill myself first, then my cup runneth over and I have more to give to others. So she says she's always striving to reach her fullest potential and help others realize their fullest potential as well. So in that spirit, I would like to share some ideas and words of wisdom that come from her book and what she's learned throughout her life. One is practice gratitude. When you focus on what you have, you get more of it. And the same is true for when you focus on what you don't have. So practice gratitude for what you have in your life today. And along those same lines is to live in the present moment. Instead of projecting into the future or lamenting the past, really enjoy the now. Another one, don't buy into youth-obsessed culture. It's a distorted view of reality. She's made it a point to ask other women in a lot of her interviews how they felt about the aging process, and repeatedly heard answers about how we're bombarded with messages. Life is pretty much over after age 30. If you're not young and hot, you have no value, you don't matter. She says instead that growing old is such a gift and should be treated as such. She thinks a lot about the attacks of 9/11 and so many people who never got the chance to grow old. So when you view aging as a gift, it becomes just that. I really like this one, some actionable advice for you. Whenever she's faced with a difficult decision, she asks herself, what would I do if I weren't afraid of making a mistake, feeling rejected, looking foolish, or being alone? She says once you remove the fear, the answer comes into focus. She says if you open up, your deepest struggle can become your greatest strength. And finally, and most importantly, because I heard her mention this in practically every talk and every speech that I watched, is about the power of intention. All of our thoughts and actions have consequences, and what you put out into the world, you get back. She had problems with this for years because she was a people pleaser. She donated her time and money to all of these different things and realized as a result of that she was actually being taken advantage of. People were asking her for more and it didn't feel good anymore. So she realized that her intention behind all of this giving was actually to be liked, and therefore people saw her that way. They were like, oh, she's nice, she won't say no, and went to her for more and more and more. So she finally decided, okay, I'm going to change my intention and I will only do things that feel good to me, that please me to do for others. But she talks a lot about intention being what you need to create the life that you want for yourself. What's your intention behind every decision? And that's what you'll see as a result on the other side. All right. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and I will see you next week for another 50 Shades of Great.